Friday, August 11th, huge news on the docket we're going to get to in just a few moments. I'm your host, Donnie Rightside. Today, he is the big man on campus, my partner in crime, Jeff Nadeau. Monster show on deck today with the right side of campus. So welcome into the living room. A lot going on today, Major League Baseball-wise. But Jeff, some big news came down here. Fill the people in.
Yeah, Zeke Elliott suspended, Donnie, for 6 games. How about that? 6 games.
Goodness.
The NFL, we think we never know what they're going to do, Donnie. Some guy gets 1 game, next guy gets 6. I think the one problem we have in the NFL, and I'm going to get into why Zeke Elliott should be suspended, but the inconsistency of how many games people are getting suspended for certain things and that aren't getting suspended and the length of time it takes, it's too much. But, Donnie, at the end of the day, we have to look at what Zeke Elliott has done, and it's not – look, at the end of the day, he's not been convicted of anything criminally. It's not the point. The point is when you're running a business and people work for you, because that's what we pretty much have here. Zeke Elliott works for a team, right, Don?
Zeke Elliott works for a team and an organization in the NFL. Yes,
correct. That's overseen by the NFL. They cover, they dole out everything. They're the governing body of what we're doing here. At the end of the day, I don't care what you own. You could own a mechanic shop. You could own a restaurant. You could own a hoagie shop, Donnie, like you did.
Yeah.
If you had an employee with this many problems, you not only would fire him probably, but he would face criminal charges like Zeke Elliott. The fact that Zeke Elliott, you're not going to fire him for this stuff because he's at a higher level of a career. I would. I don't want this guy anywhere near my team. He's a criminal. He's done things criminally wrong. He's not a good look for my team. They're not going to do that. Suspending him, though, has to happen here, Donnie. You look at the issues this guy's had. We remember the thousands, Donnie, of text messages that's come out. I know you've researched that with the domestic violence problem, right?
Yeah, no, I was just reading some of the stuff because, again, this is late-breaking news. Made it broke about 10 minutes before we actually went on the air. So just going over some highlights there. There's a statement. I'm actually not sure if it's an official NFL statement, but I believe it is the one that's recircling around. This isn't just, he said, she said with a lot of people. If you're out there, I know if you're a Cowboy fan, man, this girl just making stuff up just to send Zeke down the toilet. Well, we talked about it on the Late Night of Campus the other night, Jeff, of how long this investigation is taking and how many months and years just about that it's going over where they're looking at evidence, thousands of text messages, medical evidence, medical advisors, going back and forth, what's his story, what's her story, interviewing everybody in the circumstance. And the NFL, Jeff, you're right, is a business. They're not in the business of just taking a guy out of play a la Tom Brady or Zeke Elliott and suspending him because it's quote-unquote good for the league. There's evidence there. There's a cover-up there. And again, it doesn't even have to be legal because you're right, Jeff. This is their business. They can run it how they choose to.
And not only do you have domestic issues, you have pulling down a woman's top at a July, whatever that party was, St. Patrick's Day. That's harassment. Yeah. That's sexual harassment on any form of the word. I don't care if she did it or.
But Jeff, he was just playing around, man. He's a young guy. They were drinking.
It doesn't matter. If I do that at a bar, I'm going to go to jail. A fight at a bar, which we could probably agree he was involved in. I mean, we don't know if he ever did do anything, but it doesn't matter. It's if I do all this stuff. Let's say I get arrested and –
Yeah, hold on real quick. Adam Schefter just tweeted out a minute ago, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones is said to be furious with the NFL decision per one source. Absolutely furious. Hilarious. You had Greg Hardy on your team. Continue, Jeff.
Yeah, we know. Of course he thinks it. Zeke Elliott could murder someone in the middle of the street and he would find it furious that he gets suspended. Not only all this stuff, but he was involved in going into a marijuana store. I don't care if it was legal. It doesn't matter. It's banned under the substance abuse policy. It doesn't matter if it's recreational. You and I don't care if it's a crime. At the end of the day, if I walk down the street smoking a J, I'm going to jail. It doesn't matter that I think it should be legalized. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't care about the laws. A lot of them, I think they're bullshit, but it doesn't matter. We have to follow the rules. We're NFL football players at the end of the day. We might not like them. They might not like them. But at the end of the day, that's why we have professionals in this league. And we have people like Johnny Manziel, Colin Kaepernick, those guys, they just look for things to do to piss people off. And this guy is a prime example. There are 4 or 5 problems that this guy's been involved with that you cannot have if you're running a business. It's just
Jeff, by the way, DJ Grant corrects you, and he's right here. That's not sexual harassment. You don't know what you're talking about. He's actually correct, Jeff. It's actually sexual assault.
Okay, well, I don't care what. Maybe you do that sort of thing, DJ 100 Grand, but I don't. I don't go to St. Patrick's Day parties and walk around and pull chicks' tops down. Okay, I mean, at the end of the day, you might not think it's a crime, but the law does. And just because Zeke Elliott thinks he's, Johnny Badass and can do whatever he wants, it doesn't matter. You're not bigger than the NFL, dude. Sorry. And I don't care if this is a Cowboy player or if this is a Jacksonville Jaguar player. At the end of the day, you committed crimes. You made your league look bad, and you got to go. Sorry. I don't care what people there is nothing wrong with weed. I don't care. It doesn't matter, though. The rules are the rules. That's
now. Well, it probably won't stay at 6. As even Zach's chiming in, and no way it'll stay at 6 games. What's going to happen here most likely is it's a long appeal process. Zeke will probably appeal it. He'll be able to play maybe first 2, 3, maybe even 4 games. Then they'll levy that suspension, maybe take a game, maybe knock it down to 4. But he will be, when you level the 6 out there, this is going to go to court and it's going to get hung up there. This is probably going to be made. He'll get to play a couple of games, similar to Jeff in Philadelphia. We talked before the show. Lane Johnson last year appealed his decision. I don't even think he was suspended, Jeff, to week 4 or 5 after the bye week, and then got that 10-game suspension. So he will get suspended. They might knock it down a game or so, but he will be suspended.
But we've talked about it, and Zach's bringing it up here. You look at the first 4 or 5 games of that season. Giants, Broncos, Cardinals, Rams, Packers, 49ers. I mean, out of those 6 games, the Rams are going to be better. I mean, a lot of those teams are pretty good football teams. That's a big loss, for the Cowboys. I mean, he was huge to this team last year. I don't listen. I'm not down with him either. He's a great player, but you have to. You know what Tom Brady's so loved, Donnie? At the end of the day, he probably does wins. A lot of because he wins. But I'm sure he smokes weed. But he doesn't put it out there in front of everybody.
I don't think he did. That dude's a freak, man. This dude doesn't even eat meat for 15 years. Yeah, go ahead.
But what I'm trying to point out here is, and we can knock Skip Bayless all we want, but at the end of the day, his comment about Johnny Manziel made sense. I don't give a fuck if he calls someone a motherfucker. I don't. But you do not talk like that in public. If you're on the stage of the NFL, you do not talk that way. Tom Brady doesn't do it. These guys, it's not professional. You're running a business, man. And that's
Matty Varnum says out there, Jeff, on the chat box, if it's a severe offense, then why not suspend him for a year? It's the same thing with the union. If you ever worked with the union before, that's collectively bargained at 6 games. I'm sure if the NFL was just able to do whatever they wanted, they could suspend for whatever amount of time. But that's one of those issues that is collective bargaining, and it's at 6 games. So that's probably why he got the 6 games there, Matty.
Again, I don't agree with it either, but it's the rules. It's how you have to have rules. We have to have rules here. It's any company. If I do the things Zeke Elliott did, I wouldn't just miss a couple days of work. I'd be fucking fired.
Yeah, what the interesting point of that too is, Jeff, again, you bring up, I've owned a hoagie shop for almost 10 years, obviously sold it last year, being as I wouldn't be doing this show with Jeff and hanging out with you guys there. But just taking a look, if somebody came in, regardless of my viewpoints, let's just say a township cop came in the store and one of my front counter people refused to serve the person. That person is gone. You know what I mean? Because that's not, you have run a business. It has no business. You can't just, what's the word I'm looking for? Take a stand based on another person's dime. I'm not serving this cop. Well, it's my money here that I'm paying you. You will serve that cop and you will do it with a smile, or any instance, or that. I'm not going to serve the local teacher because I don't think I got a good education there. That's not up to you to do that. That's not in your bylaws. If you can just say, hey, I'm going to come in and wear whatever I want to work when you have a uniform to wear. When you work for an employer, you have to go by the rules. Simple as that.
Right. And I don't want to hear constantly about he's 21, he made mistakes. They all do. But now you have to pay the price. And look at Johnny. He's a great example of what happens when you don't follow the rules. He's obviously, Zeke Elliott's a lot more talented than he is. But at the end of the day, if this stuff continues to persist, Zeke Elliott will not be wanted by a lot of teams. I mean, it's just you only get one chance, Donnie, to show who you really are. And this guy's been
given – it always sticks with you. Reputation. Right. Yep.
Yeah, and again, we can point out, Donnie, Joe Paterno was an absolutely great football coach. He won a lot of games, but one bad decision magnified who he was. And over the course of his career, all we remember Joe Paterno for was what he didn't do. And all these guys, what do we think of? I mean, every guy you bring up, you always remember the bad things they did. And right now, I mean, this guy's not looking too good. And
well, also, let's be serious with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, it just permeates that entire franchise and has been for decades, going back to, Coke and hookers back in the 80s with Michael Irving. They just brushed it under the carpet. All the Dez Bryant stuff about how Dez slapping his mom, pushed that under the carpet. Hey, and Jerry Jones comments, which are my favorite of all time. You have the ultimate wife beater on your team in Hardy, and Jerry Jones out there in front of the cameras going, this type of guy's the guy you want to make captain of your football team. I mean, come on down there, Cap. Like, they're so detached from reality that they don't even – it's just – it permeates.
It's the good old boys society down there. Man. It's the good old boys society. Boys will be boys, right?
Yep.
Give me another scotch, That's what it is down there. We did the same thing when we were young. Come on. I mean, really. You just can't
talk about shaking stigma, too. I mean, the Eagles took a monster risk. Mike Vick coming out of jail for fighting dogs, killing dogs, tax evasion. They took a huge risk. A lot of the fan base, Jeff, as well as I do, listen to the radio. There was like a damn near 50-50 split. Like, hey, it's my Eagles, I'll support him. And the other 50 saying basically, I don't even want to, since he's on the team, I don't even want to watch football. And if you run a business, that's bad for your business altogether, man. Right. Doesn't matter how good you are. Somebody's always going to have a stigma on that.
And back in the day, we can bring that up. Back in the day, you could do a lot of this shit because there wasn't someone there with a camera trying to get on. Yep. At the end of the day, the United States is a fucking mess right now. You can't do anything without someone in your face snapping a picture. When people fight anymore, people used to break it up. Now it's, let me get a camera. Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah.
If I'm a young man in the NFL, the NBA, I wouldn't even leave my house. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't leave my house. I wouldn't do anything because there's someone out there trying to fuck with my money and bother me. And that's what happens. It doesn't matter if you did it. It's the fact of it was said you did it. That's all you need to know nowadays with as much going on, all that kind of thing. It's a shame, unfortunately, but the rules are rules. And I don't care what kind of business you run. You can't have this going on by your employee. You can't.
Yeah, Tom Marino, I know you're probably not going to agree with it.
Yeah, Tom Marino has no life. Tom Marino.
He actually makes a good point in that. There was no way they were going to suspend or have this whole wave coming out with Jerry Jones going into the Hall of Fame. The NFL is not dumb. And again, Jeff, what are we talking about here? When's the news dump section? On a Friday afternoon to get it over the weekend. I hope nobody talks about it after that. So the NFL is smart with all their PR. The one thing that's going to be really interesting about this, Jeff, if Jerry Jones really presses the issue like the Patriots did, because the NFL can play that PR game as well, and all of a sudden leaked information starts getting out there. When Jerry Jones says, this is ridiculous, there was no evidence, the NFL will slip out the back door with documents, get them over to somebody that's going to show pictures, just like in the Greg Hardy scandal, when all of a sudden out of nowhere we started seeing like, oh, look at this. Look at the police pictures there. Well, you're not supposed to actually have those. Oh, yeah? NFL can play that PR game too if you start to slander them back. So we'll see how that one turns out.
Eagles and Giants fans rejoicing across the country. Yeah, I think people are happy. But again, I'm not pointing this out.
No, I'm the type of guy that I want Zeke Elliott in there to beat his ass. You know what I mean? I like when Zeke's playing in that game. I want to beat him straight up. If he's not there, fantastic. He's not there, but oh well, and that doesn't have any bearing on it. Because, again, I don't think we play him until week 10 anyway. So if he gets suspended, I don't think it's going to have any bearing on the Eagles at all, opposed to, maybe the Giants beating them or, them getting a loss. But, again, you're talking about the NFL here. They have a good offensive line. Alfred Morris, albeit, and also McFadden. Obviously not as good as Zeke Elliott, but they're going to be able to run the football. It's not that devastating. But although, Jeff, I only thought maybe he was going to get 1 to 2 games. If it turns out to be a full 6, these aren't spring chickens there that are backing him up down in Dallas. So we'll see how that works out.
Amen. Yeah, it's I'm going to go ahead and guess, and I'm sure people will agree, it's probably going to be appealed and it's going to get dropped a little bit. I mean, I think it's 4 games probably, but I was surprised to see 6. I mean, that was –
they have to have something really, really, jacked up if it's 6 games. So, and again, as the day goes on, and we're on the air, so I can't scan Twitter and get the latest update, which I'm sure stuff's coming out left and right. That's information is going to start to fly as the afternoon and weekend goes on. So it'll be fun to read. What I'm going to enjoy the most, Jeff, is Jerry Jones blowing a gasket. So we'll have a lot of fun with that over the next couple of weeks, I'm sure.
NFL points to the policy of 6 games for first DV offenses. Evidence does not support finding mitigating or aggravating factors, whatever that means.
I guess that would mean you don't have to, your original point, you don't have to be arrested in the NFL to be suspended. So
it's what did you do? What maybe did you do? What, how bad does this look?
Yeah, and actually, Jeff, Austin brings up a good point there. 3 games and people would complain about it. Don't you remember when the Ravens actually knew about the tape with Ray Rice and still gave him like a pat on the back or a 1-game suspension? Then the tape broke. Then all hell broke loose, and now he can't play in the NFL anymore. So, maybe there's some video out there. Maybe his girl is out there, or the girl that supposedly put his hands on says, you know what? I'm just going to, 12 noon today, tune in. I'm going to release the video. I'm going to release the tapes, and I'm going to show you the pictures myself. So there's probably a big shoe to fall out here as well.
Amen. Welcome into everyone listening. As always, feel free to like the show. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear from most of you. Listen, I don't mean to block the guy, but when you consistently bother me off the air, you make Twitter profiles about me, we're not going to be cool, man. Just get off here. Leave us alone. Go do your own thing. I mean, you can go on other shows. I'll never bother you, but I'm not going to be cool with people like that. Sorry. I'm not going to have you in here bothering us, bothering me, call me names. Go to work, be a lawyer, because we all know you are. Go defend people. Not sure who would hire you, but
maybe you could defend Zeke Elliott now.
Yes,
know what I mean?
Great idea.
Market for that.
Donnie Rightside. How about that? Great idea. Why don't you go put your name in the hat there, cuz? Thurman, we're hoping you come down to the next IFBC. I'd love to see you. It would be nice to put a name to the face, as they say.
Maybe he was actually down there, but just as another person, though. You know what I mean? And was really cool.
Good point. Yeah, that would make sense. Good point, Donnie. He might not say who he really is, but he would have to, wouldn't he? Because everyone would be like, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah, exactly. See the real name.
Out. Big Man on campus. So you're on the Celtic train tonight. Well, you might have to wait to the end of the show, Dale.
Watching a couple things here, Jeff, on the live lines for Week 1. Pinnacle no longer has the game up, but others do. But I'm sure there's probably a lot of different differentiating markets, I should say. Sportsbook.com now at a 3.5 when we know that game opened up at a 4.5. But again, let's get back to the NFL is what I love to do and what I love to cap. Let's be real about this. He's a running back. This isn't the starting quarterback out. This isn't a suspension the day of the game where, oh my God, we got to break somebody in. They're going to have weeks and weeks on end to get ready for this. They have 2 healthy running backs, what's supposed to be a very good offensive line. So if you're looking for -4.5 to flip to -4.5 for the Giants, I mean, come on, let's be real. It's not going to happen. So you might get maybe a public influence of, honest to God, Jeff, a half point, maybe a point, just because it's a huge betting market in that first opening week.
Well,
but don't look for much change in this.
I will say this. This is probably the most bet team in America other than the Patriots, Donnie.
And it's going against the Giants. You look at the betting markets on a marquee game opening weekend.
So what do you think Zeke is worth ATSs, Dylan? I think in the first game, it's going to be interesting to see where the line goes, because the public's going to bet. They're going to still probably say, well, Zeke's out, but still the Cowboys.
No, but see, here's where I love to come in, Jeff. I don't bet Week 1 or Week 2 of the NFL. Right now, Jeff, where do you think I'm going with this one?
You're going with the Giants.
No, the Cowboys. Because now everybody says, oh, my God, Zeke's out. Get the Giants. Hit the Giants. Giants are going to roll over them. Boom. Oh, 100% the public.
But the good old boys, the public, will still bet the Cowboys, I feel it.
No way. No. I mean, the public is only going to see superstars. What? Zeke's out? No. Oh, my God. I can't even bet that game. There you go. Yeah.
Quickly, before we get into baseball, what do you think of Chelsea, Man City, Tottenham parlay? I like Man City a lot. I'm really big on them this week. Chelsea, they should be able to go and beat Burnley. Shouldn't be a problem. I get a weird feeling Tottenham isn't as good this year as people think they're going to be. Newcastle's a new team. They're up in the Premiership. I think they're the best of the 3 coming up. Tottenham has a really big need for a midfielder. When Yama's out, that hurts. I like Man City and Chelsea. I'm not saying Tottenham won't win, but I would maybe throw in someone else, maybe Crystal Palace or something like that. It should win though, Mitchell. But I'm not as big on Tottenham as most. Donnie and Big Man, what round are you drafting Zeke in fantasy? Wow.
How would you even do it now? Like you might be without him 4 or 5 games. That might blow a title position. Yeah.
That would suck if you have like a draft this week. Or something. That would really blow. I would have to. I'll tell you what. Maybe we'll chat. I'll try to get Ryan on the show tonight. See if maybe he has a a good question on that. Big man on campus, 85% of the bets are on the Giants between 5 and +4. Okay, yeah. I mean,
No, it's
Donnie
common.
might be
It's
right,
common. Yep, it's common on that.
but Donnie,
Yeah, go ahead.
what I'm trying to say is the fan base is huge for the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
And they could be playing, God and the 12 apostles, and the Cowboys would be bad.
Yeah, but no, I was opposite, Jeff. The Giants usually have the bigger betting market coming out of New York. Now, here's also another angle you want to look at the NFL betting that first week of football. Jeff, right now, the shock comes down, right? Oh, my God, he's going to be out for 6 games. The public says, get the Giants, get the Giants. But here's the key in this one, Jeff. Here's the key. He's going to appeal the suspension. He's probably going to play week 1. Maybe instead of laying 4.5, a complete overreaction in the next 48 hours, maybe you can get 3.5 now. Maybe you can get 4, something better, because rest be assured, he's not going to sit on the sidelines in this one. Jerry Jones is not going to sit on the sidelines. They will appeal. You're probably going to get Zeke game 1, and you might get a free point out of it as well. So just something to keep in mind out there.
Yeah, no, you might be on something there. Yeah. Donnie, we're 20 minutes into the show. We talked about Zeke Elliott, but it's time to transition to baseball. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Hey, last night, late night on campus out at the ballpark, royalty was in the house. We had the big man, we had Tweety, we had me, we had Jack Ryan, row 1 seats, fantastic night. Yeah. Now, look, the Phillies got rocked, Jeff, but some people that were sitting around, we put some money in their pocket because one team went double digits in that game.
Yeah, Tweety and I were walking into the game, and we're walking down 10th Street, and I see we see the winds blowing pretty hard, and Tweety goes, "Damn, that wind's blowing out." I said, "That's a good point by you." He bet, we took the over, ended up coming in. I did take a small play on the Phillies, which was a bad idea, but, it was fun. It was a nice time. Met, Jack, who was a really cool guy. He's from the city. Obviously, Tweety, seeing him was nice. And
now, Jeff, now I want to say how good a guy you are. Ready for this?
Yeah.
And Jack even admitted as well. There was a time, maybe about 2 months ago, where Jack and the big man didn't get along in the live Twitter box. And you see how we crushed it? We all came together and had a great time. See that?
Because I remember when Jack reached out to me, and I remember there was a time, like really early in baseball, I was like, it was just wasn't going well for me. And I came across maybe as a little mean or whatever. But yeah, I got no problem squashing shit with people, like on the reg, really. But when you really just continue it, I don't ever want to be cool with you. Jack just didn't understand kind of what I was dealing with at that time. But, he's a good guy. Everybody was cool. It was fun seeing you guys and, just kind of, laughing and breaking balls and things like that. We even had a guy next to us, Donnie. We were cheering when the Mets scored, and the guy goes, "Hey, you guys on the over?" I said,
he knows the deal.
He knew what's up, I was getting people asking me, "Hey, are you going to run on the field? We'll give you money." And the money just wasn't good enough, but I was considering it.
I like how you kept on asking the usher there and had to always preface it by like, "Look, I'm not running on the field. So just to let you know, what are the fines here?" Another guy would come down. "Look, just to let you know I'm not running on the field." And then Jeff always hits him with if I ran on the field, how far would you have to run to catch me?
I was literally seat 1. The gate was literally – I had my hand on the gate.
Yeah, yep.
I could easily jump over. We did not get a foul ball. We had opportunity.
Couple close shots too, man. A couple really close ones. Yeah.
Donnie, Nats, San Francisco. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it there. All right, 9:51, 9:52 on the rotation. We're going to have Stratton and Jackson on the mound, Jeff. About 2,300 wagers have been placed on this game. 26% backing the road team here with the San Francisco Giants. Steep line here. Chris opened up at -170, now up to -174. If we take a look at the opening line at BetOnline, Jeff, -170, now down to -166. So not a ton of line movement, despite an overwhelming majority, quote unquote, 74% of the public backing Edwin Jackson this one. Jeff, 2 starts at home for Edwin Jackson, a 3 ERA. You'll take that each and every start if you have. Stratton out there, I know he's only had 2 starts, so limited to look at a 5.40 ERA. Got lit up a little bit there on the road. If you look at the stats, 7 innings, 5 earned runs. So you get what you get out of them. San Francisco has no power in that lineup, Jeff. I know Edwin Jackson is not a good pitcher, historically. I'm not looking at backing San Francisco here, but I'm not looking at laying. I mean, Edwin Jackson is a -175 favorite. What gives on that, man? Come on.
Yeah, but I have a weird premonition that he'll be good this game. I mean, San Francisco they seem to be the team that would go on the road and get shut out by Edwin Jackson. They come across to me as a team that would do that. Chris Stratton, I'm not looking to bet on. While the line's high, I would agree with you. Yeah. I would almost consider maybe laying a run line here with the Nationals. They're a really good offense. They fortified their bullpen a little bit. listen, I don't hate Edwin Jackson. I really don't throw him into like the complete gas can, Homer Bailey, that kind of group. You look at Stratton, last 11 and 2/3, 9 walks, 7 earned runs, a whip over 1.7. They're 19 and 38 on the road, the Giants. And on the road, opponents hitting 290 against them. So I get a weird feeling that the Astros kind of dominate this game, dominate Stratton. And I got to be honest, I don't think Edwin Jackson will be that bad. It won't be on my card, but don't be surprised to see Jackson pitch decent here at home against a bad lineup. A team, look, Donnie, we saw last night with the Phillies, a team that's just given up. I mean, they don't really care game to game. They go out, they go through the process. I don't know about you last night, Donnie, but a lot of the time I was watching the game, and in my head I'm thinking like, this team like reminds you of the Indians in the Major League movie, where it's just like no one cares. Like, seems like they're just kind of laughable losers, you know. You know, people care more about the other team than the actual team we're watching. For me here, I would lean Nats run line. I think they get the job done fairly easily here.
Next up on the docket, 9:53, 9:54. Back to the scene of the crime last night, Jeff, in South Philadelphia. A blowout by the New York Mets. DeGrom was sensational. On the mound today, a little bit different story. We got Seth Lugo going up against Nick Pivetta, 60% back in the road team here with the New York Mets. Line opened up at Chris at -110. Sticking around that same line, Jeff Bettel line opened up at -108, staying identical there at -108. Pivetta's been decent at home, a 3.89 ERA through 6 home starts. Last 3 games, 5.94. Now, he did get lit up in Colorado. I understand that. A lot of people get lit up there. Lugo, 5.45 on the road through 6 starts. Jeff, this is one of the games I look at. You might even lean towards Philadelphia, as crazy as it sounds, getting blown out last night. DeGrom was fantastic. Now you get a picture a little bit more hittable on the mound. You also have Pivetta, who's had some decent success at home. Public obviously favoring the New York Mets in this one. Will I have a wager on this game? Probably not. But if you're asking me now, Jeff, I might be leaning a little bit contrarian, taking the Philadelphia Phillies here at home tonight.
I considered that, but I'm looking more along the lines of the total again. The Mets are a better offense on the road, 264 average, scoring over 5 runs a game. They just play better on the road. But there's no Jay Bruce in the lineup. I have to remember that. But still some guys with some power there. Both these pitchers have struggled. Pivetta at times has been, just poor. Lugo's been bad as well. Mets have won 16 of 23 in Philadelphia. Really just kind of dominated the Phillies over the last couple of years. But I don't have much in this game. 2 teams that I'm just not really looking to bet on. I would venture to think we see some runs here, especially with these bullpens. But I had to figure, Donnie, last night when Vinny Velasquez went out after the first inning, I had to feel like the over was kind of on our, it would come in last night. By the way, Donnie, are you seeing this trade going down?
Yeah, well, hold on. See, now this is what I left. We're live on the air. I just saw that there.
How about that, Donnie, right side?
Jordan Matthews for Dart. So how's it going to play? Hold on. Let me see. Now, this is going to break it up. Yeah.
Here's the trade. Sammy Watkins to the Rams, Jordan Matthews and E.J. Gaines to the Bills, Ronald Darby to the Eagles. How about that?
Ooh.
Wow.
Whee! Bills have acquired E.J. Gaines and a Rams 2018 second-round pick for wide receiver Sammy Watkins. That's the other part of that. Wow.
Little trade alert. Trade alert. How about this for the NFL? Interesting.
Look at that. We're supposed to be doing baseball show. I'm ready to just bust in and bust down some NFL right now, man.
Interesting move by the NFL to announce this trade.
We got a corner, Jeff. We got a corner.
But the interesting thing, Donnie, they announced this trade a half an hour after the Zeke Elliott news.
There you go, Jeff. So they probably had it last night after the game, and the NFL said, "Look, man, we need this to be a cover story. So get ready. We'll let you go at 1:00 on a Friday. Just bury that." That's great. That's a big trade for a preseason, man. Wow.
Yeah, you don't really see that too often, do you?
We got a corner, Jeff.
I love it. How about that? I'm really happy. I like Ronald Darby out of Florida State University. I'm a fan. And Donnie, by the way, the Bills play the Eagles next week, I believe.
I'll be down there. Yep, taking my daughter down to the game, checking that one out. Yeah, that's interesting, man.
By the way, Eagles, Donnie. Ronald Darby was drafted 50th overall in the 2015 draft. 3 picks after the Eagles took Eric Rowe. So hopefully,
Eric Rowe. Oh, man, don't even get me going. Man.
Hopefully that doesn't. There's no indication here that will be fixed. But not a huge name, Donnie, which I like. A good player
No, you needed a service. You needed somebody on that outside to come into the season who was serviceable, who's not Kerry Williams, who's not just going to blow up, be Byron Maxwell, not even give a damn what's going on out there. You needed a serviceable NFL quarterback. Jordan Matthews on the last year of his contract. They probably weren't going to re-sign him. He's got the knee tendonitis, and I like Jordan Matthews. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's a good wide receiver, but wide receiver is deep on the Eagles. Deep.
Right, and at the end of the day, from what all indications were, he was being outbeat by Aguilar in training camp. There's just too many guys at this point. It's you give up a third-round pick of Jordan Matthews. I mean, that's not that big. I don't think it's that big a deal. But again, you have an influx of receivers on this team. You have guys that are playing well. Jordan Matthews just the odd man out. I mean,
and I like Jordan Matthews. I mean, guy put in his time out of Vanderbilt, fantastic character, great human being. But the NFL, again, is a business. Wide receivers getting paid a lot of money. He's under the last year of his contract. You know he wants a new contract. But what are you going to pay him? What happens if Alshon goes out and has a fantastic year this year? Are you going to break the bank for Jordan Matthews, who might be a slot receiver?
And I'll tell you what,
wrong, Jeff. I mean, he was in the slot last year. There was only one guy to throw the football to, and that was Matthews. So some inflated numbers for sure. But, hey, I agree. I think everybody got some decent value in this trade here.
They must really like Nelson Aguilar. That's what this tells me, because he's your new starting slot wide receiver. So you better hope that he's your guy, because you're putting a lot of confidence into him. He dropped a 2-point conversion last night. He said major emotional issues in Philadelphia. Hopefully he's the guy and turns into a pretty good player. But you need Zach Ertz to step up as well. He's had the whole LJ Smith career. He'll be good every year, and he never ends up turning out to be that good. So, again, I like Matthews, but they need a cornerback, and getting Ronald Darby is a very good move.
No, that's fantastic, because if you've seen any of the hits I've done anywhere, SBR, me and Jeff talking, or just, anywhere else, I just keep pointing out the fact is I can't believe the Eagles are going into the season with this cornerback rotation, and thank goodness they made a move here, Jeff.
Yeah, agreed.
Back to the baseball card, Jeff. A lot of stuff mixing in. Hell, who knows what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes, but we're live on the air if it comes through. Love it. The chat box. I noticed the first in the chat box, Jeff. They're my boys out there. They always got my back,
What happened?
Next year up, Colorado and Miami, 955, 956 on the rotation. 58% backing the road team here with Gray versus Urania. And the Miami Marlins opened up at -110, so basically about a pick 'em, but looks like -114 now at Chris in favor of the Colorado Rockies. Bet online, Jeff, opened up at -108, about a pick 'em in the favor of Colorado, up to -115. Over under in this one, Jeff, sitting between 8 and it looks like actually 8.5 across the board. Opened up in 9 in some spots here, so we'll keep an eye on that situation. Gray, not been good away from home, Jeff. 6.67 ERA overall. If we take a look at Urania at home through 9 starts, 3.60 ERA. Interesting line, only 42% backing the home team here, the Miami Marlins, and obviously the line going slightly in the direction of Colorado. Jeff, I think you have the same wavelength as me. Colorado, obviously a much different team away than home hitting-wise. But again, do you trust the Miami Marlins? A little bit of a banged-up lineup they're putting out yesterday. Dropped a tough one to Washington last night. Is there any value here backing the Marlins at home? Maybe he's a slight underdog.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I understand this move either in the line. I mean, Colorado open dog. They're now a favorite. John Gray has been awful on the road. The Rockies are a different team away from Coors Field. Urania's pitched pretty well, and I just don't know that I understand this move here. But I'm going to go over 8.5. I think, again, I still don't know that I trust Urania. I know he's pitched very well, but I still think he's a guy that'll give up 3 or 4 runs. Rockies a pretty good lineup. I still think they're capable. I think the Marlins are also capable. I think they can get to John Gray here. I think 8.5 is just a little too low here. At 9.5, it's not as interesting to me. But with these two pitchers on the hill, I have a feeling we see some runs in this game. Again, all 3 of these games I'm not in love with, but if I had to play it, I would look over 8.5 here.
Jeff, next up, I'm going to call him Mr. Steam, or actually we should call him Mr. Sunday Steam himself. 957, 950 on the rotation. Cincinnati and 1, Homer Public Bailey coming to town here through Milwaukee with Jimmy Nelson. 1,800 tickets have been tracked. 24% of the public, Jeff, backing Cincinnati here. Line opened up at a strong -180. Chris now showing a -195. Bet online, Jeff, opened at 171, now showing 190. So obviously the public backing and must be getting some sharp money in there also to drive that line even higher to back Homer Bailey in this one. Bailey's road starts, Jeff, 5 of them, 5.47 ERA on the season, an ERA of 8.86. So you say, hey, well, how's he doing on the road or how's he doing lately there? Last 3 starts, Jeff, an ERA over 9. And honestly, Jeff, a well-deserved ERA over 9. Jimmy Nelson on the now 12 home starts, 2.43. Last 3 starts, Jeff, a 2 ERA. He's the one guy on that Brewer staff I really like and like to back. But, Jeff, you know me. I'm not laying that much wood in this game. Come on, man.
I agree with you. I think this line is absolutely ridiculous. If you're laying the number with the Brewers today, again, it's time to find a new career. I don't know how you can do this. I mean, you're laying 2-1 or 1-2 on a team that's lost 5 in a row. They really haven't done anything worth a shit since the All-Star break.
So wait, Jeff, you're not going to tweet out tonight, winner, 5-star play on money line Milwaukee tonight? Okay.
No, I'm not. And Jimmy Nelson shouldn't be laying 200. I mean, he's a good pitcher. He's not a great pitcher. They're not as potent as they were offensively. Eric Thames is just another guy all of a sudden. And I don't know if anyone knows this, but they strike out the most in baseball from a team perspective. So they're just not that good a baseball team. And to be laying this kind of number, look, I've lost money betting on Homer Bailey, but again, I mean, they don't make any sense, these lines. This line, Homer Bailey's not going to go off a favorite, okay? This is us saying we don't want any money on this game. That's what this is telling me. We're going to put a ridiculous number out there, and who knows what will happen. This game will be decided late by bullpens. Honestly, when Cincinnati's facing a righty, I don't hate them. I really don't. I would just take the Reds just because Jimmy Nelson shouldn't be laying 195. Ridiculous.
No, I agree with you there. Jeff, we're going to get to one of my most fun portions of the show coming up here as we go down the rotation. 959, 960. Maybe one day, Jeff, will be off of the Google Hangouts. We'll have some graphics come up here. And right now we would be raising one of those possible flags. Rotation 955, 960. That's Fultonavich and Adam Wainwright. 1,700 tickets have been tracked. We'll see how this goes throughout the day. But if you're looking right now, folks, 25% of the tickets now coming in on the Atlanta Braves. Chris opened that line at 165, has plummeted 25 cents down to minus 140. We always like to look at Bet Online as well, Jeff. Opening up at 158, Jeff, down 22 cents to minus 136. So some drastic reverse line movement. This one, despite not a lot of public support, it's one that you're going to want to look and get into. Fultonavich on the road, Jeff, through 12 games. Not bad. 4.14 ERA is going to keep you in that ball game. Wainwright, I know he's been decent at home, 7-1 overall through 10 games, a 3.19 ERA. Last 3 starts, he's been good, 3.86. But ask yourself something this. Atlanta's going on the road, not much to play for. St. Louis is that playoff team. Wainwright's on the mound, pitches well at home. Why is that line dipping 25 cents or so, Jeff, early morning action here?
Yeah, it just seems like a down spot for the Cardinals. This just seems like a game where it's like, same old Cardinals, the down spot against the Braves. The question I have here is from anyone, why would you bet the Braves here? It just doesn't make any sense. They're a lock. They can't lose. They can't win this game. But at the end of the day, Adam Wainwright's not a guy that I trust. I mean, he's not Adam Wainwright of 2010.
Yep.
Michael Fultonavich is a guy that's pitched pretty well. He's off of his career high in strikeouts in a game. He's a fairly good pitcher. They have a pretty good lineup. They're able to hit on the road. This just looks like a game where the Cardinals don't come to play in this game. The line's moved. Doesn't make any sense. My question is, again, why would you bet the Braves here? And that's exactly why I am going to bet the Braves here. It just doesn't make any sense. The line should be going up, not going down. For me and for you, Donnie, that's why this is a false flag.
Yeah, by the way, I mean, we need to do a little bit of research on that game. Haven't dug in quite so deep yet on that. Matt Kemp, I know, has been on the DL. When is he actually going to come off? So 7/28, maybe a 10-day DL, and he's got to be close to coming off the DL. That's anybody out there who's a Braves fan. I know Kyle Hamburg always chimes in there down in Atlanta. Let me know what that situation on Matt Kemp is and when he's expected to come off the DL.
There's no timetable for his return from what I understand.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I mean, why rush him back anyway? I mean, you're going to make the playoffs or something, you know what I mean? So
exactly.
I can definitely think that. But no, I would be looking at Atlanta in this situation. No question about it. Next up on the docket, Jeff, interesting one here. Don't have a false flag, but I like the way the line movement's going here. 963, 964 on the rotation. Lackey and Walker in this one. 54% actually favoring, Jeff, the home team. Arizona Diamondbacks here. Line opened up at about a pick 'em, but now showing it Chris minus 121, Pinnacle minus 128, Bet Online minus 119. So you have some decent line movement there going away from the Cubs. We know have gotten a lot of steam there. Contreras now out. We all know that catcher-pitcher battery, Jeff, goes a long way. Contreras with that big arm coming on strong. He's going to be out hitting the DL, so that's something to keep an eye on. And Jeff, the one pitcher I don't really like to back if I was going to back the Chicago Cubs, that's Lackey. I think he could get hit around in that. I think he can get hit around in that mode, but also taking a look out there in the desert. I like the way the Diamondbacks, if they can show up tonight, maybe get some hits around there, maybe even a first 5 where you're just getting into involvement with Walker versus Lackey might be a decent proposition. But right now, Jeff, I'm leaning Diamondbacks in this one.
I would as well. When the Cubs are facing a lefty, I'm interested. When they're facing a righty, I'm not. There's a huge discrepancy when they face right-handers and left-handers. And look, I don't want to bet on John Lackey, and I don't want to bet on John Lackey on the road. You have a potent lineup here with Arizona, very good offense, hitting 276 at home and scoring almost 6 runs a game. And opponents are only hitting 231 at Chase Field this year. I think this line makes sense. 2 good teams, almost kind of a coin flip, but I do see some things that say Arizona's the play here. I do like Walker over Lackey, and I don't want to bet on the Cubs against a right-hander. So, I agree with you. I think Arizona's the play here.
Now, Jeff, coming up here on the next game, I don't even take a second to cap this game. I just passed right over it. 963, 964. Hill versus Richard on the mound. Obviously, that's the Padres and the Dodgers. Got a good laugh out there. I mean, Pinnacle opened at a 345. I mean, they opened at 345 for Rich Hill, Jeff. And right there is where I left it. And I get it now. You say, well, Donnie, don't you like reverse line movement? And, 27% only backing the Padres. Just because it's 280 and you say that line movement, I don't like the bet up there. I like my teams to have a shot to win. If anybody followed me last night, you knew I was on the Tampa Bay Rays plus 124. That's my strike zone, Jeff. 140 or less plus money, maybe going to a favorite as high as 130 at the absolute most, maybe 125 in that range. I just skipped right over and said that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, look, I haven't bet a team over 145 this year. We've talked about this, but Donnie, the Dodgers are 81-33. They don't lose very often. And look, I mean, you're going to see a lot of these prices now. It's what the Dodgers command at this point. It's down to 280 though. So again, I mean,
it's a bargain.
Yeah, the number's starting to come down, and that's because the line was just a little too high at the end of the day. But I'm not looking at the number here. I'm looking at the run line. Why aren't you betting the Dodgers on the run line? Why isn't that an automatic play at home? I mean,
Jeff, by the way, if you have that up, I don't have that screen up. Any idea what the run line on the first 5 would be in that one?
I would say it'd probably be, I don't know,
pretty steep though, 150-ish,
170, I would think. They're gonna make you pay for the Dodgers.
Ooh,
that's just how it's gonna go, Donnie. I mean, they're not gonna give you any easy outs here with them. But I do want to point out, Donnie, 47-13 for the Dodgers at home this year. At this number, so at 250 or higher, they're 10-0 this year, 24-3 over the last 3 years at numbers like this. So they don't lose very often at this price. So when you're really kind of selling it out, selling the show out, your bet out, they're going to win these games. But Donnie, at home, they're 34-13 by 2 or more runs. So they've won 34-47 by 2 or more runs, 72%. San Diego's lost 6 of 8. They're hitting 223 against lefties this year. I am on -1.5 here at -135. I don't want to really do it too often, but the Dodgers are just such a lock on the run line seemingly every night. Playing the lowly Padres, I'll go with them here.
By the way, Mr. Satan shows up, a la a.k.a. the Luchador. Great show, Jeff. When will you have a different guest on with you? So, I mean, if it wasn't already nice being down in Costa Rica, Mr. Satan introduced me to Red's Apple Ale as his favorite beverage of choice. So, Jeff, have at it on that one. I mean, the guy drinks Red Apple Ale left and right down there. What do you think about that, Jeff?
Kind of a lame drink, I think. But I will say this. I don't drink at all, so that's kind of lame too. But Mr. Satan, I've asked for new guests. They continue to put me with this guy. I bring him to SBR, and all of a sudden now I've got to deal with him all the time.
And behind the scenes, I'm trying to knock Jeff off this show as well. So we're sort of jockeying behind the scenes. We're gonna have a 30 for 30 one of these days. Yep.
You're calling me out saying I was fired. Just bunch of bullshit. I'm sick of it. By the way, Donnie, Dodgers -185, minus one half a run in the first
Jesus,
5.
my God. I mean, if we're reading lines here, Jeff, is that not a Dodgers line, first 5, to try to keep you off of it? My
Oh,
God.
sure.
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
Rich Hill's been very good as well. So, yeah, for me, I actually was surprised to see it 135, -1.5, -135. I mean, I think that's kind of a bargain for the Dodgers against this team.
Jeff, next up on the docket here, interesting line movement. You brought this one to my attention a little bit earlier today. Boston, New York Yankees, rotation 965, 966. Rodriguez, Garcia, about a 50-50 ticket split here, but some interesting line movement here. I was looking at Chris a little bit early, but I think their opening line was off. So let's go with Pinnacle, Jeff. A -116 opening for the Yankees at home has now ballooned up 17 cents to -133. If we take a look at Bet Online, Jeff, a 30-cent line move opened at 110. Now it looks like 140. Yes, correct. 140 over under this game. 9.5. Jaime Garcia. It's hard to say home starts, when you look at some of the stats there, because you got to throw those out. Overall, a 4.49 ERA going against Rodriguez, who's on the road, 4.69. Jeff, we all saw last night. I know you were very disappointed with your play last night in the New York Yankees. Coming home here, do you think those bats open up versus a lefty and try to get it going? Again, Garcia under a little bit of pressure to perform here in the Bronx tonight.
Yeah, I do think they're going to come tonight. I had them last night, the Yankees. They didn't get the job done. They did win the night before, so I kind of broke even. But, Donnie, this line doesn't make any sense to me. This is just telling me that people are going to look at this line and say, Red Sox have won 8 in a row. They're 4.5 games up on the Yankees. Why are they an underdog? I got to take them tonight. And the Yankees will win. This is a Yankee line. I mean, I don't – you can't really justify it and say it isn't. At the end of the day, Jamie Garcia is a 4-star in this league. And look, I mean, the question you have to ask yourself is why are the Yankees a favorite here?
Jeff, also taking a look at the total in that situation. Yeah. I mean, 9.5 seems like a lot to me. I mean, you're not looking at two weak bullpens here. So if you get decent starting pitching, one would think the under, but I have a hard time betting the under because I've been burned on nonsense. Jeff, we were on the same game a couple weeks ago and got absolutely robbed on a total. So taking the under is always with a grain of salt, but 9.5 here, I think that's really generous as a total here, especially with the bullpens.
It's hard to do it at Yankee Stadium, though. I mean, just with
you're right about that too. You are right.
But again, I mean, if these starters can give you any kind of solid outing, both these bullpens are fairly locked down. I mean, you have 2 good bullpens here. I'm just looking at this line and saying, why are the Yankees a favorite here? It doesn't make any sense. I think this line should be Red Sox -125, honestly. But, hey, I don't make lines. I just try to beat them. For me, I would go with the Yankees in this game.
Gotcha. No, I would tend to agree with you in that. 967, 968. Minnesota, Jeff. Gibson is on the mound. We used to trash that guy routinely versus Anibal Sanchez. But, Jeff, 60% of the public here betting on the Minnesota Twins and backing Kyle Gibson. Line opened up at -119 at Chris. However, got a little bit of nice movement here in the favor of the Detroit Tigers, going up to 129. Bet Online, Jeff, opened at 123, now sits at -127. A high over-under in this one, coming in double digits, actually 10.5 in this one. Very light betting right now in this game, Jeff, with only about 650 tickets showing up for me. Gibson on the road, Jeff, 5.31 ERA through 8 games. The last 3 games, a 4.82 ERA. Anibal Sanchez, Jeff, I mean, you want to talk about gas can-ish here. 4 games he started at home, 5.73. His last 3 starts, Jeff, a 9.45 ERA. I'm telling you, if you're looking at maybe a total in this one, I dug on Minnesota the other day. They came to bat for me with Milwaukee, covered an over very easily. Even though that number shows 10.5, Jeff, it has a lot of the things I like. 2 pitchers there that tend to be hit around. And again, both of these bullpens, Jeff, who's coming in to put the fire out here, buddy?
Before we get into this, I will say Ziggy Balls, you really seem to do a lot of research on your pick today. Good luck.
I like Ziggy Balls. Ziggy Balls in the high favorites, Jeff.
Really going out on a limb on your play tonight. Congratulations. So if you win, I guess, great job. You saw it before we did, I guess. Tigers, Twins. Tigers have really dominated the Twins over the years, 32-15 over the last 3 seasons. I got to ask, why aren't there runs in this game? I mean, Anibal Sanchez is just the guy that gives up runs. I mean, he pitched decent for me in a couple starts, but I actually ended up backing him in his last start, and he got crushed against the Orioles. Gibson, we know, is a gas can as well. I got a feeling this one kind of goes to the kind of goes like normal and we see runs here. Two bullpens that are really poor, particularly the Twins and the Tigers. Tigers are one of the worst in the major leagues. No Justin Wilson. Twins have given up runs like crazy. This should be a high-scoring game, I would think. I mean, there's no real movement on the total either. I would look over here.
Jeff, next game up on the docket, which helped me out and put some more money in my pocket last night. 969, 970. That's Cleveland and Tampa Bay. Corey Dickerson, 3-run blast, bottom of the 8th, 4-1 final. Tampa Bay comes home as a nice dog play for me and my clients last night. But we're going to get back to it tonight, Jeff. Faria and Carrasco, two good pitchers on the mound. If you don't know who Jacob Faria is yet, the kid can flat out pitch. 46% of the tickets coming in on the underdog Rays in this one. Now, keep in mind, everybody's waiting on that bounce-back game for the Cleveland Indians, and boy, do they need it. So we'll see if we can get it there tonight. Opened up with Chris at -131, now bet up to -135. Some interesting line movement across the board. Basically the same. Opened up at -28 at Pinnacle, -129 that we're currently sitting at. We'll take a look at one more outlet here. Bet online, Jeff, opened up at -140, now down to -131. So if we take a look overall at some of the parameters in this ballgame with the pitching staffs, obviously we know Cleveland has a decent bullpen. Last night, though, caved there in the 8th inning with a 3-run blast. Tampa Bay at home, not so hot on their ERA as the bullpen, 4.27. Road starts for Carrasco, Jeff, 3.44, but his last 3 games has struggled with almost an 8 ERA. If we take a look at Faria, 5 home starts, Jeff, 2.56 ERA. He likes to pitch well at home. Could this be one game, Jeff, that maybe you take the Cleveland bullpen out, thinking to have a slight advantage there, and just take Faria the first 5? I mean, he's been doing very well as of late, bud.
Cleveland's lost 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Again, this is what we see from this team. Just you look good for a while, and then you lose 4 or 5. You're only hitting 170 over last week. I keep saying it. They're the worst in the major leagues at runners in scoring position. They leave a ton of people on base. Honestly, Donnie, I'm looking more along the lines under the total maybe, but I don't have much in this game. I think, unfortunately, I would like Faria in the first 5, but I don't like I want Cleveland in the second, inning. So the second 4 innings. So for me, it's a pass for me. I don't have any luck with Carrasco. I can't ever get the Indians right. So for me, it's a pass.
Yeah, maybe Jay Bruce will be in the lineup tonight versus the young gun Faria. Next up on the docket, 971, 972. We're going to go Morton and Hamels. Houston. Rangers. Hamels on the hill as a lefty. Obviously, only 33% backing him, Jeff, at home in this development. -110, Chris opens up. -119 now sitting in the favor of Houston. Not a ton of line movement there, but it looks like the line movement with the money is going in Houston's favor at this point. Just looking for them to bust out. Hamels hasn't been Hamels, Jeff. Last couple games, we've even seen him spotted 1, 2, 3, and 4-run leads, routinely blowing those. So we'll see what type of motivation. I know it actually is a rivalry type game if there is one in baseball. So we'll see how Hamels comes out tonight at home. 6 games, 3.12 ERA. Last 3 starts for Hamels overall, a 3 ERA. Morton on the road, 4.08. His last 3 starts showing at 2.25 as an ERA. What are some looks in this game that you're looking at, Jeff? Is there any value with taking Texas as a slight home dog here? Or do those Houston bats show up here and start knocking it around on Hamels?
I mean, I got to say, unless the line looks weird, I'm not betting it. But I got to tell you, against Texas and Cole Hamels, at this price, I would look to take Houston. I mean, I still think at any time you can get them at this number that doesn't look too freaky, I would take Houston. I mean, Morton's pitched decent this year. I don't like Hamels this year particularly. We've talked about that, his inability to not give up home runs. They've won 7 of 10 this year against Texas. I like Houston in this game. I would take a shot with them at this price. It's hard not to do that.
No, it's all about getting value and what the prognosis is of the game itself. Sooner or later, they're going to bounce back there. And Hamels, I mean, it's funny, Jeff. You look at those numbers. He's a 3 ERA, but it's almost like ever that lasting images. Maybe because we watch a lot of baseball that Hamels is giving up leads and not being able to trust him. But we'll see what works out in that department down there and see if they can hang it. Again, Houston's just in that malaise, just looking to get through the summer, get into the playoffs, maybe get a couple things straight. So you're right. That is a pretty cheap line if you're going to get -20 on Houston or less in that one.
Donnie, really quick, I want to point this out. One thing about the Eagles, real quick, that I was just kind of thinking about.
Yeah,
this is kind of what makes you, if you like this organization, absolutely, want to tear your hair out. So, explain the thinking pattern in the draft to go after an injured cornerback when you know you're weak at cornerback. You then go out and have to get a cornerback in a trade because you knew you needed one, but we're going to give everyone 1-year contracts, and we're going to win now, but win the draft. We're going to go out and get Sidney Jones, who can't play anyway and may never be the same player. But then 3 months later, well, time to go out and get a cornerback because we know we need one. I mean, what's the thinking pattern there?
No, I mean, I
come on.
Understand what they're going into. Maybe there wasn't value in the offseason. Maybe you didn't want to overpay. You knew you weren't going to sign Jordan Matthews, so you move a piece around. But I agree with the Sidney Jones move, actually. It kind of sucks that he's probably not going to see the field this year. But if Sidney Jones turns out, he's maybe a top 7, top 6 player in the draft if he was completely healthy. So a quarterback is a massive need position in the NFL, even if you have to wait a year to get one of those premier guys. The same thing with Carson Wentz. At first, I wasn't on the Carson Wentz bandwagon to trade up and go and get him. But what an absolute flat-out steal that was. Can you imagine right now if the Cleveland Browns had Carson Wentz and their trajectory northward, they're still going to be muddling around. Where's our quarterback? Where's our quarterback? What? It's one of those positions you got to go out and get, and sometimes you got to sacrifice for it.
Okay, but again, I mean.
But who are you getting in the offseason, though? Give me a name.
But you knew you needed a cornerback anyway. Like, why do
but
that?
Maybe if we heard in the offseason all along they were always going to trade Jordan Matthews, maybe the ceiling wasn't high enough. Maybe there was an immediate need where you waited till the deadline and said, hey, you know what? Oh, my God, Buffalo really wants a wide receiver. We're going to get rid of Watkins. Great. We wanted him all along. Maybe the Bills wanted Matthews and the 3rd-round pick to get a cornerback. You know what I mean?
Well, what you could have did is you could have did that in the draft then. You could have drafted and said you could have took a corner at 14 and then traded Jordan Matthews and tried to get back in the 1st round again.
But who were you going to take at 14? I didn't want the kid Gary and Conley. I wanted no piece of that. I'll take Barnett all day long. And if you've seen him last night, now again, it's preseason. That kid was dominant last night, man.
Adoree Jackson.
I
don't know.
Rusher.
Adoree Jackson, maybe?
No, I wasn't taking Adoree Jackson that high. No, I think the Eagles played it the right way. And if Sidney Jones works out and he's an all-pro corner, 5-time all-pro, I mean, we're all going to love the pick as well. So
I hear you. I'm just saying.
I know. Next up on the docket, Jeff, back to baseball. Let's close out these last 4 games here, 973, 974. Danny Duffy versus Lopez on the mound. 73% are going against Lopez, and the White Sox here opened up at -165, Jeff. But here we go again on that bandwagon with the Chicago White Sox down to 140 at Chris, down to 140 at Pinnacle, down to 138 at Bet Online. First start of the year for Lopez. And Duffy hasn't been that bad, Jeff. Overall in the season on the road at 3.77 ERA. You figure Kansas City would get it right. The White Sox stink. It's hard to take the White Sox, Jeff. Big line movement going against the Royals here, buddy.
Yeah, Royals have lost 9 of 11. They're not playing well right now. Chicago off of a 3-game sweep of mighty Houston. How about that? They're playing well. They're playing with a little moxie. They're coming back in games and winning them. I don't like KC on the road. I don't like them right now in general. I would look with the White Sox here. They're playing pretty well right now. I guess you ride that train. The move doesn't really make much sense. I feel like the Royals are still a fairly public team. The White Sox are a fairly public fade. This line doesn't make much sense to me. They've never seen Lopez before. I think this is his debut, no, Tony?
Yeah, this is his debut. First game. Absolutely correct. Yep.
Yeah, I like the White Sox here.
Jeff, and by the way, I see a lot of chat board stuff out there with the Eagles. I mean, if you don't follow by now that me and Jeff are brainwashing you to be Eagles fans and root for the Eagles and bet on the Eagles, it's only a matter of time before we completely take this over. And instead of being the right side of campus, it's going to be like, the right side of Philadelphia Eagles football show. So get ready out there on the chat box for that, fellas.
Philadelphia's a city of losing sports teams. They praise a fictional character, for fuck's sake. I agree. I will not say you're not right there. The Rocky thing is absolutely ridiculous. I don't get it.
Look, Jeff's not a true Philadelphia sports fan, by the way, either, just to let you guys know.
I love the Eagles. I love the Sixers. I like the Flyers.
Keep going.
I like the Yankees. So what does that mean? If I was raised like that, what do you want?
I'm just putting out stuff in the chat box so maybe they can get at you.
But again, if you don't like the Eagles talk, you don't have to listen. I mean, they did just make a big trade. I mean, what do you want us to say? I mean, maker of odds. I mean, you don't have to call us a city of losing sports teams. We won the World Series in 2008, dude.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Who do you root for? The Canadian team? I mean, they don't even have baseball.
No, he's a Patriots fan, I think.
Oh, right. You like the Patriots and you like the Cavs and you probably like, whatever. Big man, it sucks that Jersey Shore doesn't have a team, huh? Funny. Yeah. I'd root for them if they did. They do. They have the Yankees. Not like going to DJs where your goal.
Would you ever go over to Sandcastle Stadium down there, Jeff? Watch a little
golf.
Whatever the hell that team was. Surf. There you go.
Yeah, you spend many birthdays there. Yes.
Mitch Williams used to manage that ball club.
Yes, he did. Good point.
There you go.
The Lancaster Barnstormers actually are in that league now, in my town now. So yes, to be honest, Luz Kant, they do have a sports team. It's the New York Yankees. All those Bennies from Staten Island. And, yeah, they love the Yankees. They love some Yankees there.
Next up, Jeff, Baltimore, Oakland, Jimenez, Blackburn, 59% back in the road team here in the Baltimore Orioles. Line opened up at -119 as a favorite towards the Oakland Athletics. Has since shifted back to a pick-em in most spots. Over under, Jeff, 10, some 9.5, some primarily 10s across the board with that total of Ubaldo Jimenez on the season. How about this, Jeff? This is perfect Ubaldo Jimenez information right here. Do you know his ERA on the season, what it is, Jeff?
Ubaldo?
Yes, total ERA on the season.
6.9, I think.
At 6.66. Perfect. I mean, wow. Exactly where you would want him at. Blackburn's through 7 starts for him, 3-1 record, a 2.60 ERA. I don't have much overall in this game. It's kind of a fishy line. I know Ubaldo Jimenez stinks. Blackburn's not much better. I'm always surprised that Blackburn even gets anybody out, but he certainly has done well and decent over there. I lost a couple games, I believe, a couple weeks back there in a Mets game with Blackburn, which the Oakland Athletics were a nice dog and lost that game. But nice cheap price here if you want Oakland in that type of environment there and out at the Coliseum.
Yeah, I bet Blackburn last time out against the Angels. I took him in the first 5, and he was great. I like this kid. I really like this kid. He's from the area. He's really kind of enjoyed pitching for the A's. They are better at home. Ubaldo has actually pitched pretty well lately, but he's inconsistent. We all know that. At this price, it's kind of interesting. I wonder why Jimenez is a favorite here. I do think a lot of people will bet on Blackburn here, and for me, that's a red flag and where I'm going to stay off of it. I think a lot of people look at this and say, Blackbird's been great. Ubaldo sucks. I mean, he just –
I don't know. I might have the opposite on that, Jeff, going like, why would you bet Oakland? Boy, Baltimore can hit and all that stuff. I might have an opposite opinion on that one.
I think Ubaldo trumps all that. People don't like Ubaldo. Most squares don't like Ubaldo. They don't. They don't want to bet on him. They have this thing in their head. He's like Cologne. He's like Homer Bailey. No one will bet on him. We've bet on Bailey. We've bet on some of these guys, but at the end of the day, most people don't want to. You should be able to fly into Atlantic City there, Marco.
Nice little airport, man. I took the kids. I took the family to Disney World. Flew right out of
it depends.
By the way, you want to talk about an airport, a smaller level airport. There's no lines. What, it was maybe one person to get through, like, the baggage claim check. Fantastic.
If you can avoid flying into Philadelphia, I'd
at all costs. Yeah.
Maybe even, flying to, Newark. It's a straight shot south. I don't know.
Head up the Red Line Road or something, Come on, man.
Yeah, you gotta get a private joint like we do, cuz. Come on. You fly into, Northeast Philadelphia Airport, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Next up here, Jeff, the Angels and the Seattle Mariners, Nolasco Gonzalez, 33% back in the road team here, the Mike Trouts, so to speak. Chris opened up at -114, now bet to -118. Bet online at -119. Over under, Jeff, 9.5 in the situation. A lot of people were cheering on last night, a heavily favored Seattle Mariners team, but Mike Trout happened, I believe, in the top of the 9th inning after a nice comeback by the Mariners to close that one out as a nice dog on the line. Nolasco, Jeff, 6-17. The team record when he takes the mound, 4.81 ERA. Gonzalez coming to the mound again. Not many starts, but hasn't fared very well either, Jeff.
Yeah, he started last game for this is actually the talk of the IFBC, if you can remember. There was a rain out, and then he pitched the next day for Felix Hernandez. He wasn't good in that game either. He gave up 5 runs over 4 innings against the Royals. Over, I would say. I mean, the Mariners are a pretty good offensive team at home. Nolasco's a guy that gives up 5 runs. That's what he does. Late night, wouldn't mind taking a little overshot here. I think both these guys will get hit. I don't know if Gonzalez is a major league pitcher right now. So for me, I'd probably look over, but we're towards the end of the card. Mr. Say 10 for $29. I will pay your mortgage. That is. I'm guessing it's on a preseason game tonight.
No, wait, no. See, what I got out of this, I pay him $29, then he sends my mortgage payment back. Is that correct? I think that's what I got out of that. No picks involved. He just pays your mortgage.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm in.
It's a nice deal. That's a nice
deal. By
the
way, Donnie, on the preseason note last night, I don't know if you caught like the last 10 minutes of the Eagles game.
Wait, and hold on. I caught the last 10 minutes. You know what? The only thing I was bothered by is that Merrill Reese was calling Malachi Dupree Malichi.
Oh, Malachi. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Malachi. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Then he switched it up and started saying Malachi. What a hit by Malachi Dupree.
I couldn't get enough of it. Like, come on, man. You're a pro.
I mean,
come on.
You can't tell me the last 10 minutes of those games. You actually want to bet on that? I mean,
no, it's brutal.
It's
ridiculous.
horrible.
Brutalness. Yeah.
It's like watching a high school game, like where it's like the end of the year, they don't care.
No,
you drop passes, fumbles every other play. I mean, what are you capping there, really? I mean, it's amazing.
Jeff, and yes, Miriam was a star down at the IFBC, by the way.
Yeah, I thought she was like a 6 or 7.
Oh, now you're going to get the luchador might have to come after you now.
I mean, she was hot, but like, listen, I mean, I feel like there's a lot hotter.
Jeff, you didn't get the Instagram account though.
Oh, I don't know her, but I'm just saying, I think she's a 6 or 7 personally, but that's I didn't see her in the flesh. I can't really say. But
I mean, this might go down. This might be one of those Buster Posey moments for you in a couple of minutes with the chat box.
I didn't see her. I didn't see her, and I don't know. For me, a lot of it's for me, if she's hot, that's great. But I want to make sure she's a nice person as well.
No, it's great attitude. Great attitude, Jeff. Great.
I'm not just going to get with a girl because she's hot. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't with her, so I can't really comment. To me, she was a 7. Big men on campus. Arsenal, Leicester over 3. Would you take it? I'm looking at both teams to score in that game. That's where I'm at with it. You're getting over 3. You can only take 3. That sucks. Both teams to score. That's what's going to win. BMOC, you start high and then it goes lower. Well, I think she's a 7. I'm very good with ratings, and she's like a 7.2, 7.3. That's where I look at it. Very hot, but not. I don't think she's a model.
Finally up on the docket, Jeff, 979, 980, Tyone Stroman. Good one here. A little bit of false flag information. 27% backing the road team here in the Pittsburgh Pirates. Jeff opened up at 150, down to 133. Other outlets, 133, 132. So you have some decent line movement going in Pittsburgh's direction. One I'm going to be taking a look at. Tyone on the season, 4.61 ERA. We do know, obviously, that Stroman is the ace on the mound for Toronto, typically giving good start after good start after good start. But maybe a little bit of value here with Pittsburgh, Jeff, taking the show on the road here.
Yeah, and I'm not, Toronto didn't do much for me. I mean, they're an old team. They should have started to sell off, and they didn't. They're like that. They're like that last bag of crack you have. The cops are coming. You need to sell it off, and you just keep it.
I know that exact situation.
That's what they are. I mean, the cops are bearing down on you, but you should sell it off, and you don't. It's time to sell off the old crack. It's time to move on. And this team, look, they've been playing well. I mean, they scored some runs against the Yankees the last couple of nights, but Tyone, I don't know, over maybe, Donnie? Both these teams right now are hitting for the most part.
I don't know because you know me with Pittsburgh, Jeff. Don't ask my opinion on a total with Pittsburgh because I have no idea. I just can't get it right, man.
It's a tough one. It's the last game on the card. I don't have much on it. It's one I would pass on. For me overall, I'd look Yankee or Dodgers team total. Dodgers run line -1.5. I'm also looking a little bit at Atlanta, Arizona, and maybe a couple of these false flags, which we'll kind of grab here today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for a couple games I'm looking at, as I said again, that Atlanta-St. Louis game, looking at the Arizona Diamondbacks game, Houston and Texas, Kansas City, Chicago White Sox. Got football in the brain right there. And also that Pittsburgh-Toronto game. So a lot more to happen here. Big man, you want to leave with something before we get out of here, buddy?
Yes, like I said, I'm on the both teams to score. Yeah, Leicester City, Arsenal. I should see some runs in that, or some goals in that game. I'm sorry. Check us out tomorrow, Donnie. Check us out tonight. I'll be on the late night on campus. We'll talk a little bit fantasy, some more stuff with the NFL, and then tomorrow with the right side of campus. Everyone have a great day.